Well, there's car collections and then there's big car collections. Well, this one is a really big one. Join me as we see what one man has amassed in over 50 years. It's going to be amazing. This episode, we visit the beautiful Barossa Valley in South Australia to visit Eric Parker. Eric had a dream, and that dream was to collect as many cars and parts belonging to his favourite brand, Chevrolet. Let's talk to Eric, check out some of his collection, and then we'll take one for a drive. So be sure to stay tuned to the end, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome automotive content coming your way. Eric, thanks so much for having us along to look at your collection here. Tell us where you started amassing all of these vehicles. Where did it begin?
Began in Port Lincoln, South Australia, about 50 odd years ago. And the shipyards were paying a lot of money for scrap metal, so I bought a lot of these old cars, took them for scrap. I just picked up about 3 or 4 Ford T's that were very good condition. These guys, 3 of them come in there, they said, we'd be interested in buying them. I said, oh, no, I'm getting good money for scrap. And they said, we'll double your money. And then I said, what are you going to do? They said, well, we're restorers in Sydney. And at that stage, no one restored cars. I never heard of it. Then I thought, well, I'm going to start collecting, not send them for scrap. Then it became a sort of an obsession thing, and I've sort of filled in the gaps of different models.
And tell us about the old dealership you've got. I believe it was a service station as well.
When I bought it, it was had been used as a second-hand car dealership. Prior to that, it was a Dodge Plymouth Ferguson dealership. Prior to that, it was the first service station in the district. So it's got a lot of history, and I've sort of preserved it as it originally was.
So Eric, this 36 Chevy Roadster, I believe this was your first ever vehicle restoration, is that correct?
Yes, it was my first restoration.
And tell us about the drivetrain in this car, the engine.
It's a 6-cylinder, stovepipe they call them. Very similar from 1929, which was the first 6-cylinder, up till 48. Found this one in Adelaide, actually from a dealer in Adelaide. He found it out in the bush where chooks had been nesting in it.
So you really were up against it when it came to the restoration?
Was, yeah.
And a 1930 Chevrolet Roadster, a barn find too, Eric?
Yes. Yeah, we're very lucky to find that. That's never been painted. That's as it come out from the factory. Yeah, this is second year 6-cylinder. It's not a big mileage vehicle.
It's so rare to find a car that hasn't been taken apart or half restored or pulled apart.
No, you don't find them nowadays.
No, a complete ready to rock and roll deal. 52 Chevy, right-hand drive, is it Australian delivered?
Australian delivered. Was a local car. The chap that owned this used to come into the workshop nearly every day and watch me restoring. And he said, one day you're going to have this car, and I did.
It looks like a really honest survivor car. I reckon that'd be the best description for it.
No work done on it whatsoever, but it drives quite nice. They kept it in very good condition. Blue
Flame 6?
Yes.
I suppose with something like this, you either leave it as an old timepiece or you restore it. Which direction would you go with this car?
I'm leaving it because it just brings back memories of the old chap that used to come in and watch me do my restoration.
Another honest old car, this 58 Biscayne.
Yes, that one I purchased from original owner in America. He bought it brand new. I haven't done anything with it, but it drives quite nice.
It's great to see these old girls exactly as they are, the original patina on them. And at the end of the day, it is an investment. It's money in the bank even to have them sitting there. Not that you've obviously owned it for that reason, but you're not going backwards with such a vehicle. And As I say, keeping it in stock. You never know, for a rainy day, you might restore it one day. 53 Chevy.
Yeah,
Where did you pick this one up from?
from York Peninsula here in South Australia.
And Blue Flame 6 again?
Yeah, Blue Flame 6, yes.
And another right-hand drive, Australian
Yes.
delivered.
Yes, Australian car. I try to get as many Australian cars within my collection. You don't see them around very often now
No,
in
you wouldn't.
original condition.
So a lot of these cars would have been, what, 20, 30 years ago?
30 to 40, I think.
Wow.
More
there
than
you go.
20.
Gee. 54 Chevy, you seem to have most of the years.
Yes. Yes, this one was registered or just ran out when I purchased it. And by the sticker it was 1975, so a local farmer had it. And you know, oh, if you're interested in selling it any time, just I'll give you my number. So I think that's probably what happened.
And is this one here still a driver?
Yeah, oh yes, yes.
Blue Flame?
Yes, yes, and they're all drivable.
Now here's a car that's really surprised me, this 1917 very early V8 powered Chevrolet.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Quite rare, it's the only one in Australia. I don't think there's any out of America, and I think there's only a total of around about 8.
It's in exceptional condition. So it's 288 cubic inches and it
Yeah.
makes just over 50 horsepower.
Yes.
I always thought of the flathead Ford V8 as being one of the very early sort of V8s in mass production, but Chevrolet had their V8 deal happening very early in the piece, and I believe it didn't run for that long. Is that correct, as far as the model range?
Only ran for the 1 year, but it took them 2 years to sell what they'd produced. Henry Ford was selling for $490. These were around the 2000
Oh, really? So it was
dollar mark them days.
gee, a lot more expensive. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Now, Eric, there's definitely no doubt that you're passionate about aerial motorcycles. I've counted about 90 bikes here.
Very passionate about them.
You've been collecting them for some time.
Yes, since I was 15 when I got my first aerial. I finished up getting a Square 4 and that was overheating on the back cylinder, and each weekend I was playing with it, pulling it down and getting it ready for Monday for work.
So you got to know them back to front.
I got to know them back to front.
Now here's a real classic, 57 Chevy, an Australian delivered version too, right-hand drive.
Yes, yes, I was. I couldn't sleep for a couple of nights when I got this one. I felt that lucky. 38,000 miles when I purchased it. It's about 44 now.
It got me, I'll be honest with you, I'm gobsmacked at the condition of the car. It's spectacular.
Yes, original upholstery, original paint.
Being the Australian variant, it also sports the Blue Flame 6.
Yes.
Well, to be honest with you, mate, I wouldn't care what engine this car had. I'd have it in a heartbeat.
Someone else may have had a V8 in it by now.
Yeah. I'm glad you've left it as it is, because really it is all about the Australian Chevrolet history, and that's what you're trying to achieve.
That's true, yes.
And this car is the epitome of that, from what
Yes.
I can see. What a find.
Yes.
So what do we have here? A 42 model with a fair bit of interesting history too, I believe.
Yes. Was brought out to Australia because these weren't made in Australia for General MacArthur. I think there was 8 brought out and they dropped off at Darwin. He was on his way to Singapore in 1942. Seems strange he needed 8, but anyway, I think it was 8 brought out for
Just in
him
case.
to use while he was here.
Gee, that's unbelievable. 6-cylinder engine as well?
Yes, 6-cylinder.
Have you restored the car?
Yes, it was pretty sad when I got the car.
Right, okay.
But being so rare, had to restore it. So
Oh, definitely.
spent a lot of time restoring it.
Another iconic 50s Chevrolet, this beautiful 55 here. What an absolute plum. Tell us about it.
Well, I feel very lucky to have it, very privileged to have this car. It's quite an original one. It's just had a touch-up on the original paint, original upholstery.
And once again, it's an Australian delivered right-hand drive Blue Flame 6-cylinder variant as well. Where did the car come from?
Victoria,
Yeah.
yes. It's still got the original dealers on the rear window.
Jeez, you must have been absolutely blown away when you saw it. The thing is just so mint, so
It was
original.
better than what that he even described it to me before I saw it.
Unbelievable. What an absolute plum of a machine, and I'm very envious. I love it. Well, this collection just never seems to end. Massive Chevrolets everywhere. I'm actually driving one of Eric's 1960 Bel Airs. Awesome piece of machinery. In fact, this car here is a genuine right-hand drive Australian delivered car too. The 1960 year model for Australia was the first of the V8 variant. Of course, all the earlier models in the USA had the V8 option, but in Australia we had 6 cylinders for many years, and they did a great job. There's nothing quite like a V8 though, is there, if you had a choice? This car here actually has the 283 small block Chevy with a 2-speed glide behind it. Fantastic transmission. They also came out with an inline 6 Blue Flame engine, great thing, and they also had a 348 cubic inch high performance variant. Those things made 335 horsepower, bigger camshaft, increased compression, dual 4-barrel carbs. They would have been a mean piece of machinery. But you know what? I love these little small block Chevys. They're a great thing, right through to the 350 cubic inch version. A great motor. The 59 year model was a big change from previous years. It was a clean sheet, all brand new sheet metal, brand new chassis. They had a very unique flat tail fin arrangement and a fantastic looking cat's eye tail lamp assembly. In the 60 year model, they changed to the dual cone style tail lamps, entirely different. The other thing the GM engineers did was they ran their headlights at the lowest possible legal height. So the car looked low, it looked sleek, and it looked really wide. To me, throughout this model range of 5960, it almost looked like they were trying to capture that dream of travelling to outer space through that 60s era, because it does look very space age. The big bulbous type windscreen and the sleek styling of the car looks absolutely amazing. And if you look at the side mould, the chrome side mould, it actually looks a little bit like a jet or a rocket ship of some type. So I can see the theme that they were actually taking. Same thing with the dash and the interior of the car. This car drives absolutely sensational. It's so smooth, it's like driving on a lounge chair. It's what I like about these big Yankee cars, this Yankee Iron. Real good classic cruiser. Fantastic out with the boys or the family on a Saturday night with all the windows down. You just can't beat it. And you'll notice with the ride, it's just so silky smooth. There's no bone-jarring ride. It sort of floats over the bumps, but the car still drives and tracks really well. So it's not like a floating around on a big old boat. The seating position's fantastic. The gauges look great. The wheel is quite large, but it doesn't feel out of place. I really like this thing. I absolutely love it. A classic 60s Chevy. Awesome.